Street Fighter 6 comes out in just a couple of months and everyone is really excited for it. Whether you're a GIF player who wants the opponents to smell your muscles, or if you're a Cammy fan who's just losing your mind over her new look, the hype is just undeniable, and it's so refreshing to see people finally be this excited about Street Fighter game. I haven't seen people be this unanimously positive about a Capcom fighting game ever since Street Fighter 4 launched way back in 2009. And skip from that to the current day, and Capcom have pretty much lost their position as the industry leaders in the 2D fighting game space. I love Street Fighter 5, I really do, but unfortunately Street Fighter 5 didn't really grow the scene in any meaningful way. It's been stagnant, I think that's even putting it kindly, ever since Ultra Street Fighter 4. And the best thing about Street Fighter 6 is that it seems like Capcom is trying their hardest to make it a good video game and not just a good fighting game. And you can see this through the World Tour mode, which is something that I'm actually very excited about. I even want to make a lot of content for the World Tour mode. They are trying finally to go for a meaningful single player experience, and I'm glad they just didn't go the NRS route and go for the cinematic story mode, because let's be honest, no one got the budget to pull it off as well as NRS does. Capcom tried with Street Fighter 5 and we know how messy that was.
Are you sure about that?
Finally giving us something unique, something different we haven't really seen in a fighting game before, and something that is just reeking with passion. I honestly don't expect it to be a great mode, but I would like to see what will Capcom do with it, how will I be able to interact with other characters, just how crazy the customization and the custom characters people are coming up with are gonna look like, and if I can finally romance Chun-Li in the game. I mean, that's important to me. And speaking of innovation, I love the art direction. It's something that is so refreshing to see. For the longest time, for years now, ever since Street Fighter 4, I have had people who are complete casuals, yes, but they will take a look at Street Fighter and say, this looks like a game made for kids. And I'm sure if you have ever shown Street Fighter to one of your mates, one of your friends, family, etc., you have gotten this comment as well. But when they take a look at something that is more photorealistic, I mean, they will say, yeah, that looks more exciting. And I know that this is something that might trigger someone like you or me, because we understand that a more stylized art style is harder to pull off. But Capcom needs to attract these casuals. They need to attract players who never cared about Street Fighter in the first place. That is how you grow the scene, right? And I'm glad that Street Fighter 6 is putting itself in a position where it has its identity, it's stylized, but yet it looks realistic enough that people might be more willing to take it seriously. And regardless of even that, what's great about Street Fighter 6 is that it looks different than Street Fighter 4 and 5, because Street Fighter 5 for the most part was a more refined Street Fighter 4 art style. So having a Street Fighter game that finally looks different after like, I don't know, like I've been playing it for like 14 years, finally playing something that looks new, that looks next gen, I mean, yeah, that's just exciting. I'm glad. I want to see the new characters. I want to see Cody, I want to see Poison, I want to see them in this new art style and see how Capcom will pull it off. So far, honestly, I've been really impressed with how Capcom have redesigned most of the older characters, and most of the new characters look really cool as well. I have like one or two gripes with some of the new cast, but for the most part, everyone looks awesome. And obviously we can't talk about a fighting game without talking about the gameplay, and Street Fighter 6 is coming with some very big changes to how Street Fighter function. Capcom is trying really hard to make this game feel modern and unique, and the big headline what everyone is talking about is the drive system, because it doubles as your EX gauge and also your stun gauge. It's your resource, so it's all about how you manage it. You're at your strongest when it says round start fight. You have all the gauge you need, and it's all about how you manage them. Do you want to go all in, spend all your resources, but then be very vulnerable to an opponent making a comeback? Or would you want to be more conservative with it, but then you're not landing as much damage as you could? It's very dynamic, it's very unique, and it's very new. And that is, again, really exciting, right? It's not as straightforward as it used to be in the older games. And speaking of the older games, one of the things that have carried over from the previous games obviously is the control scheme. And now that I'm trying to get my significant other into fighting games, I'm starting to realize more and more how difficult it is for someone who's completely new to even understand how to pull off a quarter circle motion or just any of the fighting game inputs. They can be very difficult, and Capcom is trying to address this with the modern control. Yes, I know this is something that a lot of people have issues with, a lot of people are worried about how viable modern controls are gonna be, but now that I'm seeing the other perspective, maybe this is a good thing. Maybe trying to help newer players get into fighting games, at least understand how they work on a basic or a mechanical level before we throw them into the execution barrier. I think that can be a good thing. I'm interested to see how will it balance itself out when we get our hands on the title. And for me, for someone like me who is more of a hardcore player, by far the biggest excitement is having to break down everything again. It's always exciting when you get to play a new game and you want to figure something out, you want to figure the meta, you don't really know how everything functions yet. This time, this period is always amazing, and it's always by far the most fun during a game's life cycle. And for the first time, I am really glad that we're getting finally a competent, good netcode and good community feature. Check out my answer to Jammer's question on Capcom sets on what do you want to see in a Street Fighter game.
We'll start with Mura first. Mura, if there was anything you could change about Street Fighter 5 in its current state, you know, get rid of Honda, get rid of Ed, give Poison 2000 health, remove Guile so Lins can't play the game anymore. Anything you can think of, what would it be? Or are you happy with the way Street Fighter 5 is right now?
Gameplay wise, I think I'm pretty happy with it. There is one thing I would actually adjust in the game in general, and that is make it easier to communicate with the other players in the game. And finally, Capcom listened and we got amazing lobby features where you just get to hang out with people and have fun. All of that is just so exciting. Having the player base finally be bigger than the couple of people I play every time I go online, and the new gameplay mechanics, it's just like I'm overloaded with joy, honestly, and excitement for Street Fighter 6. I know a lot of people are really anxious and waiting for an open beta. A part of me wanna wait until the full thing come out and we get to experience it together for the first time. I think that is going to be magical. Let me know why you're excited for Street Fighter 6, or if you think you are gonna wait. Let me know what is not selling you on the game yet. I would love to hear all of your thoughts in the comment section below. I will be leaving a link to the Patreon, Discord, Twitter and Twitch pages in the description. Thank you so much for watching and stay safe.